point is, we should be prepared for all the information coming our way is going to be positive for us. It won't be positive for the people it's happening to. You know, like our friends here getting this, they getting that. It won't be positive for them, but in the world view, things are heading in general in our direction. So the title of the subject today is Saintly Strategy, Saintly Tactics, Saintly Procedure. So how does this have to do anything with us? Well, you know, all along, we've been talking about doing good and, you know, and being appreciative and grateful and thankful. And if you do this, Allah will give you more, right? So now if you think about it, what policy would we adopt if we know we're under 24-hour surveillance, we're under this, that, and other? And it's clear, I mean, because everything, whenever they want to touch what we're doing, they just reach out and touch it. And they got a whole, it's clear to everybody that they got a whole team. And God knows how many people is on that team. You couldn't even estimate. Because that means is if I walk outside in the middle of the night, hear somebody come. And I do it all the time just to see. Or you look up the street, somebody just rustling and they turn on their lights, you know, and what have you. That stuff all the time, it's no problem. So we have to have a strategy that's different, you know. So should it be, we'll have a revolution and we'll get guns and we'll shoot all government officials? No, that won't work. Because anybody you talk to is going to be on the government's team. That's just the way it is. It's been like that. It's been like that for a long, long time, decade after decade after decade. On some levels, it goes back over 50 years. You know, very clearly, it goes back over 50 years. On this level that is on now has been in vogue for 40 years, and some of it for the last 19 or 20 years, since 2002. And on high level, minute per minute, let's say for the last 10 years, easy. Okay, so what should we do? So we was coming up with workable strategies. You know, you have to analyze, what about this strategy? What about these tactics? Well, what in the world are they not equipped to? That's why not years ago, but last year we talked about spiritual jihad in Oakland. Spiritual jihad in Oakland. Why do we say spiritual jihad? Because they're not prepared. They're prepared for everything but a spiritual struggle. As long as we use the asset of spiritualism, we can't lose, because they got everything physical. We can't win that. It just don't seem like we would. If we wait around another 30 years, America will be so weak and stupid that, you know, and things will have changed so much. So we've thought about a saintly strategy, saintly tactics. Now, that's one thing. I want everybody to think back. Have they ever heard anyone even mention a Negro that's in the struggle as saintly? It's just revolutionary, activist, but never saintly. Now, even in our struggle, they would give you a beautiful picture of Martin Luther King, but he messed with girls on the side. And he would get angry sometime and all that. But he was never a ho-hum, just saintly. Imam Khomeini, you ever see in his book, Islam and Revolution? Did you ever start at the back?
I never started at the back. I know you said it, but I never started at the back.
But when you get back home, just look in the back, you're going to see Jihadul Akbar, the spiritual jihad, all the jihads, jihad and nafs, all that type of stuff. And you could tell, wait a minute, this man was an Arif. This man was a Sufi. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that they were saying. This guy is a closet Sunni, because Irfan is the Shia version of Tasawwuf, but they're very close to the same thing. And if you read Imam Khomeini's, a lot of his writings, I tell you what, if you read Imam Khomeini's writings on, he wrote them in 1939 and 1941, they were not Kashif al-Asrar, uncovering of secrets, but the 40 Hadith. Have you ever read any of the 40 Hadith? Okay, and what about Imam Ghazali? Do you notice if they're talking about piety, if they're talking about sabr, you could put Imam Khomeini's writing here, and you could put al-Ghazali's here, and shuffle them up, and you wouldn't know which one was which. Have you ever noticed that? No, try it sometime. Read al-Ghazali's main work, and then read Imam Khomeini's work. Because see, in those days, his basic works are irfanic, irfan, urafa, So that's where he's coming from. Okay, so now, and the tactics he used. I remember the press used to say they'd show pictures of Imam Khomeini when he was in Paris sitting cross-legged, and they was almost not making fun. But who is this spiritual guy? They taking all the tapes and taking them to Iran and playing his tapes and all that. He's on a roll. But you would look at him, and everybody knew about everybody else, but they didn't know anything about Imam Khomeini. Example, Sayyid Qutb, Maulana Maududi, all of those people, right? But the Muslims knew about those people, but the Muslims did not know about Imam Khomeini, except in Iran. They just didn't know. With all the studying of, in those days, we was really studying the Islamic movement, and because, you have to study. We knew certain things. We read Muhammad Qutb's book, Sayyid Qutb's Brother, Islam, the Misunderstood Religion, or something like that. And the brothers would go there and they would ask him, hey, why you not making no big moves? Your brother just got martyred, or your brother's books, man, was something. What's happening? And he would basically tell them, there's nothing, I'm a guest here. And that's what Saudi Arabia did. It allowed all the guests. Think about Idi Amin. Where did Idi Amin live the last 20 or 30 years of his life? Idi Amin, the big monster. He lived in Saudi Arabia. our brothers would go ask him, Sheikh, what's happening? I said, man, good life. I got the good life here. You want me to say something stupid? I ain't gonna do it. Because, that was Saudi Arabia's job, to cut the throat of the movement so all Ikhwanis could go to Saudi Arabia as long as they kept their mouth shut. As long as they kept their mouth shut. So that's how Saudi Arabia crippled the movement. They crippled the movement by teaching them perfect Arabic, but by the time they finished, nobody was doing anything. And I think about South Africa and Cape Town, the judicial, whatever they are. When I used to go there a lot, all of a sudden, they homeboy that went to school with all of them in Saudi Arabia, Abdullah Hakim Quick, pops up over there. Because the people of South Africa like our delivery. Is something about that American Negroes, they just like it. They like it. They admit it. Hey, man, we like the way y'all talk, They like it. They just like it. There's a lot of assets that we have, and I'm telling you, I could tell you names of other people. Soon as I start showing up there, here they come. Soon as I leave, they waving goodbye. Okay. So what strategy should we use? I'm going to go to the point. If they're the big, strong power, right, and we are organized, clarified, and we got where we want to go, but how are we going to break through that wall, penetrate that wall? By using weapons that they're not used to using. And that weapons that are not at their disposal. So saintly strategy. Now, this ain't nothing new. We've been using this. Remember all the talks for years, forgiveness and love and da-da-da-da-da. That's what it is. So here's where we are right now. Saintly tactics. The procedure, and this became really clear in the last period, because you have to analyze what they're doing. You have to analyze also what you're doing. What are we doing? What does it mean? What does it look like? So our saintly strategy has to be also somewhat rational and coherent. And as the Quran say, access to reason. This policy here is not talking about exactly ours, but it do relate to something very close to ours, that this Quran, this movement, this policy is available for anyone that's reasonable. That's Surah 12, Surah access to reason, aql, reason. See, Sunnis don't use aql much, but there's some people that what's being said, what's being done, has to be also some access to reason, aql, reason. Which everybody understands what aql is, but a lot of people may not adhere to it as close, but we do. So it should be rational. It should make sense. It does make sense. It's clear to sense that there's a big army. They have everything. Everything in the physical world, they got it. They can push a button and everything. Okay, but they don't have spiritual access because they don't understand it. And no matter how much information they have, they don't believe it. They don't believe it. You could show them the fall of the Roman Empire. I was talking to the FBI down there when I went down there. So, man, that might have been 10 years ago. I said, do you guys ever read any history? Do you ever read, just maybe, you know, fall of the Roman Empire or anything like that, you know? Well, you guys believe in martyrdom. And I said, yeah. I was sitting down there waiting. And you know what the wall said in back of me? It had FBI Martyrs Wall. You can have it, we can't, huh? Oh no, we're not doing that. You can have martyrs that died for the cause, and they went to heaven, probably, you know. I mean, where else would they go? They white. Huh? True patriots. They gave their all. They blowed the whistle, folded up the flag, and gave them to their family. And they got a flag, the Stars and Stripes. Like they said, stars on your head and stripes on your back. You know, this is the way the Negro used to talk. Anyway, slavery, suffering, and death. I don't remember if you remember